By now, you've likely seen the horrific images of Haitian migrants being chased down by US border agents on horseback. And if you haven't, well, now you have. The circulation of these images led to the suspension of horse patrols, widespread outrage from anyone with a conscience, and the government's promise to make those responsible pay for their actions. And look, that's all great, but there's a bigger picture. In less than a month's time, nearly 30,000 migrants crossed into Del Rio, Texas. For the staggering number of Haitian migrants who showed up all at once to seek refuge underneath a bridge amid the sweltering South Texas summer heat, with no food and no water, the risks were awfully steep. And so, you may be wondering, who exactly are all these people? And how did they all get there? But before we answer those questions, there's a far more pressing one, and that is, why were they all there in the first place? To answer that, we'll have to take a quick look back in history. The country of Haiti is no stranger to hardship. We could go back as far as 1700, when France had an ironclad grip on the island and people they had enslaved there. But some of you might think that's too long ago. So I guess I can fast forward to 1947, when the small island nation finally finished paying billions of dollars to France as a form of reparations for winning its own freedom. But you know what, even that might take too long to explain. So let's just focus on the unfortunate events that have occurred within my lifetime and that have contributed to Haiti's present-day problems. In 1991, the Organization of American States, or OAS, implements a trade embargo on Haiti after a military coup ousts the very dangerous Haitian president Aristide from the country. The US is well aware of the devastating impacts of this embargo, seeing that at the time, 85% of Haiti's exports are to the US, and 65% of its imports are from the US. Fast forward to January 12, 2010. Haiti is hit with one of the most devastating earthquakes of the modern era. This magnitude 7.0 earthquake kills an estimated 230,000 people and leaves behind an estimated $14 billion worth of damages to an already cash-strapped country. All that, coupled with the ravages of the COVID-19 pandemic since last year, the assassination of the Haitian president Jovenel Moïse on July of this year, and yet another catastrophic earthquake just 1 month later, it's no wonder the country is currently in shambles. This ongoing strife has led to a surge in gang violence, kidnappings, and insecurity. It's this type of socio-political climate that has fueled a mass exodus of people out of Haiti, transforming millions of nationals into migrants, all desperately in search of a better life. These migrants aren't illegal immigrants, they're asylum seekers. And the US is well aware of the dangers taking place back in Haiti. That's why earlier this year, prior to all the chaos that happened during the summer, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro N. Mayorkas, saw the need to take action. He was specifically talking about extending temporary protected status to Haitian nationals already in the US as of May. So, all this, coupled with the fact that the Biden administration is using Title 42, a Trump-era order to quickly deport people entering the country, explains why about 4,000 migrants were transported back to Haiti in what could be one of the most expedited US deportation campaigns by air. But here's the thing. Many of the migrants had no life to return to in Haiti because they had been working and living in Chile, Brazil, and other Latin American countries for years. But when work opportunities there dried up, it became next to impossible to make a living. The Haitian people grew desperate. And unfortunately, through unreliable word of mouth, they were misled into thinking that the border at Del Rio was open. And that's how they ended up under a bridge in Texas. So, where are we at now? Well, tens of thousands of migrants that had camped out underneath the Del Rio bridge have been cleared. Therefore, mission accomplished, right? Actually, no, far from it. Dispersing asylum seekers, however expeditiously, isn't enough to deter people who see coming to the US as their opportunity for survival. What this ordeal has managed to do is show the world just how outdated our current immigration practices are. Cowboys on horseback? Come on, America. This is not how we treat asylum seekers, America. Not then, not now, not ever. It's a blessing and a privilege to be born here, one that I'm forever grateful to my immigrant parents for. But to be American doesn't mean to just look out for oneself. It's actually the opposite. That's why we're known as the United States of America. If we are going to continue to call ourselves the greatest country on earth, then we can't be surprised when others rush to us in pursuit of the same American dream we are all so fond of. Let's make sure to honor the engraving under the statue of Lady Liberty, the mother of exiles. Because if we continue to stray this far from the message of acceptance that this country was founded on, then we will lose sight of the very thing that makes this eclectic nation the beacon of hope that it has always been.